Captain Nathaniel Blackthorne stood tall on the deck of the Sea Serpent, the salty breeze whipping through his long, dark hair. His piercing blue eyes scanned the horizon, ever watchful for enemy ships. Fearless and ruthless, he was a pirate whose name struck terror across the seven seas. But even the most fearsome pirates had their desires, and for Blackthorne, it was the legendary Black Pearl. Rumors of the Black Pearl had reached his ears in hushed whispers. Said to grant immortality, it was also cursed to bring eternal suffering to its bearer. Most dismissed it as an old sailor's tale, but the promise of eternal life was too enticing for Blackthorne to ignore. One moonless night, the crew brought a captured sailor before him, a man whose eyes were wide with fear. Blackthorne fixed his gaze on the trembling figure. "Speak," he commanded, his voice low and menacing. The sailor stammered, his voice barely a whisper. "The Black Pearl, it lies on an island shrouded in mist. It grants eternal life, but those who seek it are doomed to suffer for all eternity." Blackthorne's eyes narrowed with interest. "Where is this island?" "It's hidden," the sailor replied, his voice quivering. "But there's a map, an old, weathered map that leads to it." A cold smile spread across Blackthorne's face. "You'll guide us there," he said, his tone leaving no room for argument. "And if you deceive me, you'll face a fate worse than the curse itself." With that, the fate of the Sea Serpent and its crew was sealed. They would seek the Black Pearl, no matter the cost. The Sea Serpent set sail under a cloudless sky, her black sails billowing in the wind. Captain Blackthorne stood at the helm, his eyes gleaming with determination. His loyal first mate, Isabella Drake, stood by his side, her face a mask of concern. "Captain, are you sure about this?" Isabella asked, her voice tinged with worry. "The curse, it could be real." Blackthorne scoffed, his confidence unshaken. "Curses are for the weak-minded, Isabella. We're after immortality." The crew, a motley collection of seasoned pirates, shared mixed feelings about their quest. Some were excited by the prospect of the Black Pearl, while others were wary of the curse. As they sailed further into the open sea, they encountered treacherous storms and rival pirates, testing their resolve at every turn. During one particularly fierce storm, the Sea Serpent was tossed about like a toy. Lightning crackled across the sky, and waves crashed over the deck. Blackthorne barked orders, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Hold the lines. Secure the cargo." Isabella fought her way through the storm to reach Blackthorne. "We need to find shelter, Captain. This storm will tear us apart." Blackthorne's grip on the helm tightened. "We'll make it through. We've faced worse." With sheer determination, the crew managed to navigate the storm, emerging battered but alive. Their spirits were bolstered, but the journey was far from over. In the quiet moments after the storm, the crew gathered below deck to examine the map. The old, weathered parchment was covered in cryptic symbols and intricate drawings. Blackthorne spread it out on a table, his eyes scanning the details. "We follow this map, and it will lead us to the Black Pearl," he said, his voice filled with conviction. The crew murmured among themselves, their doubts and fears bubbling to the surface. "What if the map is a fake?" one pirate asked. "What if the curse is real?" Tensions rose as the crew debated the map's authenticity and the danger of the curse. A mutiny seemed imminent, but Blackthorne's charisma and leadership kept them in line. "Enough," he roared, his voice commanding silence. "We are pirates. We seek treasure, and we face danger every day. This is no different. Trust in me, and we will find the Black Pearl." Reluctantly, the crew agreed to follow their captain. Their journey continued, each day bringing them closer to the mysterious island. After weeks at sea, the Sea Serpent arrived at the island, shrouded in perpetual mist. The dense fog clung to the rocky shore, obscuring their view of what lay ahead. The island was silent and foreboding, an eerie sense of unease settling over the crew. Blackthorn stood at the bow, his eyes fixed on the island. "Prepare to go ashore," he ordered. "We leave at first light." Isabella approached him, her brow furrowed with worry. "Captain, this place, it feels wrong." Blackthorn waved off her concerns. "We're here for the Black Pearl, Isabella. Nothing else matters." At dawn, Blackthorn led a small group ashore, leaving the rest of the crew to guard the ship. The island's dense jungle was treacherous, with twisted vines and hidden pitfalls. Strange noises echoed through the trees, and the air was thick with an unnatural chill. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, they encountered mythical creatures and deadly traps. The island seemed determined to keep its secrets hidden. One by one, members of the group fell victim to the island's perils, their cries echoing through the trees. Undeterred, Blackthorn pressed on, his obsession with the Black Pearl driving him forward. Isabella, loyal to her captain, followed close behind, her fear growing with each step. The group faced a series of trials designed to protect the Black Pearl. Ancient ruins dotted the island, each one presenting a new challenge. They deciphered cryptic inscriptions and unlocked hidden mechanisms, each step bringing them closer to their goal. At one ruin, they encountered ghostly guardians, spectral figures who warned them of the curse. "Turn back," one guardian intoned, its voice echoing through the ruins. "The Black Pearl brings only suffering." Blackthorn dismissed the warnings, his eyes burning with determination. "I will not be swayed by ghost stories," he declared. "We press on." As they continued their journey, the trials grew more dangerous. Traps were set to ensnare the unwary, and the guardians' warnings became more insistent. One by one, the group dwindled, leaving only a handful of survivors. Despite the growing dangers, Blackthorn's resolve never wavered. "We're close," he assured the others. "The Black Pearl is within our grasp." At last, they discovered an ancient temple hidden deep within the jungle. The structure was covered in vines and moss, its entrance flanked by imposing statues. The air was thick with an aura of power and foreboding. Blackthorn and the remaining crew members approached the temple, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Inside, they found themselves in a vast chamber filled with intricate carvings and ancient relics. The walls were adorned with cryptic inscriptions, and a sense of history and mystery pervaded the air. As they explored the temple, they deciphered the inscriptions, each one revealing a piece of the puzzle. They unlocked hidden mechanisms and solved complex riddles, their progress marked by the distant echoes of the ghostly guardians' warnings. Tensions among the crew reached a boiling point. Fear and paranoia gripped their hearts, and whispers of the curse grew louder. Isabella, ever the voice of reason, tried to keep them focused. "We must stay together," she urged. "We're almost there." In the heart of the temple, they found a massive stone door, intricately carved with images of the Black Pearl. Blackthorn's eyes gleamed with triumph as they pushed the door open, revealing the inner sanctum. In the heart of the temple, a pedestal stood in the center of the room, bathed in an eerie, ethereal glow. Upon it rested the Black Pearl, a mesmerizing orb that seemed to pulsate with an inner light. The air was charged with an almost palpable energy, and the very presence of the pearl commanded awe and fear. Blackthorn stepped forward, his eyes locked on the pearl. At last, he whispered, his voice filled with reverence. "The Black Pearl is mine." As he reached out to claim the pearl, the ghostly guardians reappeared, their forms flickering in the dim light. "Beware," they intoned, their voices a haunting chorus. "The Black Pearl brings eternal suffering." Blinded by his ambition, Blackthorn dismissed their warnings. "I care not for your curses," he declared. "Immortality is worth any price." With that, he grasped the Black Pearl, feeling its cold, smooth surface in his hands. A surge of power coursed through him, but with it came a sense of dread. The room seemed to darken, and the air grew heavy with an oppressive weight. Isabella watched in horror, her heart pounding. "Captain, please," she pleaded. You must listen to them. But Blackthorn was beyond reason. The power is mine, he said, his voice tinged with madness. Nothing can stop me now. The weight of the black pearl in Captain Nathaniel Blackthorn's hand was both exhilarating and oppressive. As he stood in the heart of the ancient temple, clutching the legendary gem, a sense of triumph mixed with an unshakable dread settled over him. The ghostly warnings of the curse echoed in his mind, but he dismissed them with a wave of his hand. Immortality was within his grasp, and he would let nothing deter him. Let's get back to the ship, Blackthorn commanded, his voice resolute. We've got what we came for. Isabella Drake, the first mate, shared a wary glance with the remaining crew members. They had faced unimaginable dangers to reach this point, and the journey back promised to be no less perilous. The island seemed determined to reclaim the pearl, and the air was thick with an ominous energy. As they exited the temple, the ground trembled beneath their feet. Trees swayed as if alive, and the mist grew denser, obscuring their path. The jungle, once merely treacherous, now seemed outright hostile. The group moved cautiously, their senses heightened by the oppressive atmosphere. We need to be quick, Isabella urged, her voice tinged with urgency. This place isn't going to let us leave easily. The journey back to the sea serpent was fraught with new challenges. The mythical creatures that had lurked in the shadows now emerged to confront them. Ferocious beasts with glowing eyes and sharp fangs attacked from all sides, their roars echoing through the jungle. Blackthorn and his crew fought bravely, but their numbers dwindled as the island claimed more lives. Keep moving. Blackthorn shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. We can't stop now. Despite the relentless attacks and mounting losses, they pressed on, driven by the promise of the Black Pearl's power. But with every step, Blackthorn felt the weight of the curse growing heavier. Visions and hallucinations began to plague him, haunting his every thought. Ghostly figures whispered in his ear, their voices filled with sorrow and anger. Captain, Isabella said, noticing his distress. Are you all right? Blackthorn forced a smile, masking his inner turmoil. I'm fine. We need to keep going. They finally broke through the jungle and reached the shore, where the sea serpent awaited them. The ship's silhouette was a welcome sight, but the journey was far from over. The island's curse seemed to follow them, its malevolent presence lingering in the air. As they boarded the ship, the crew sensed that something was terribly wrong. The once sturdy vessel now creaked and groaned under an unseen weight. The sails fluttered despite the absence of wind, and the air was filled with an eerie silence. We need to set sail immediately, Blackthorn ordered, his voice strained. Get us out of here. The crew worked frantically to prepare the ship, their movements hurried and tense. As the sea serpent pulled away from the island, the sense of dread persisted. Ominous signs and strange occurrences plagued the voyage. Crew members fell ill with mysterious ailments, and accidents became alarmingly frequent. Something's not right, Isabella confided in Mark, one of the remaining crew members. This curse, it's affecting the ship and everyone on board. Mark nodded, his face pale with fear. We need to do something before it's too late. Blackthorn, desperate to hide his growing paranoia and hallucinations, kept the truth from his crew. But the strain of the curse was evident in his eyes, and his once commanding presence was now marred by an air of instability. The curse won't break us, he muttered to himself, clutching the black pearl tighter. We'll overcome it. As the sea serpent sailed further from the island, the full extent of the curse began to reveal itself. Misfortune befell the crew at every turn. The ship seemed haunted, with ghostly apparitions appearing in the dead of night. Crew members whispered of cursed dreams and visions, their fear mounting with each passing day. Isabella, driven by her loyalty to the captain and her concern for the crew, approached Blackthorn. Captain, we need to talk about the pearl. It's affecting everyone. We have to find a way to break the curse. Blackthorn's eyes, once sharp and clear, now held a manic gleam. The curse is a test of our resolve. We can't let it defeat us. Isabella's heart ached for the man who had once been a fearless leader. Please, Nathaniel. For the sake of the crew, we need to find a solution. As the sea serpent continued its journey away from the cursed island, the true nature of the curse began to manifest with terrifying intensity. What had started as subtle misfortunes and eerie occurrences quickly escalated into a full-blown nightmare. Captain Nathaniel Blackthorne, once a formidable and commanding presence, was now a shadow of his former self. The Black Pearl's influence had taken a toll on his mind, and he was plagued by relentless visions and hallucinations. Ghostly apparitions whispered to him, their voices filled with sorrow and anger. The crew's desperation grew as illness spread through the ship. Men who had been strong and healthy were now bedridden, their bodies weakened by an unknown affliction. The air seemed heavy with a malevolent presence, and the ship's wooden timbers creaked and groaned under an unseen weight. One evening, as the crew gathered on deck to discuss their worsening situation, a sudden scream pierced the air. They rushed to the source of the sound and found one of their own, a young deckhand named Samuel, lying lifeless on the floor. His eyes were wide with terror, and his face contorted in a final, agonizing expression. Isabella knelt beside him, her heart heavy with sorrow. "This curse is tearing us apart," she said, her voice trembling. "We need to do something before it's too late." Mark, one of the few remaining healthy crew members, nodded in agreement. "We can't keep going like this. We have to find a way to break the curse." But Blackthorne, clutching the Black Pearl tightly, refused to listen. "The curse is a test of our strength," he insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. "We'll overcome it." As the days passed, the situation grew increasingly dire. The ship seemed haunted, with ghostly apparitions appearing in the dead of night. Crew members whispered of cursed dreams and visions, their fear mounting with each passing day. The once unified crew was now fractured, their loyalty to Blackthorne waning. Isabella, driven by her concern for the crew and her loyalty to the captain, approached Blackthorne once more. "Nathaniel, please," she implored. "The crew is suffering. We need to find a way to break the curse." Blackthorne's eyes, bloodshot and filled with desperation, met hers. "I can't give up the pearl," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "It's our only chance at immortality." Isabella's heart ached for the man she had once admired. "Please, Nathaniel. Think of the crew. Think of what we're losing." But Blackthorne's obsession with the Black Pearl had consumed him. "We'll be fine," he insisted, though the fear in his eyes betrayed his words. "We just need to stay strong." The crew, driven to desperation by the relentless curse, began to whisper of mutiny. Fear and paranoia gripped their hearts, and the once unbreakable bond between them now hung by a thread. Isabella knew that something had to be done, and fast. The relentless curse had pushed the crew of the Sea Serpent to the brink of despair. As sickness spread and strange occurrences intensified, their faith in Captain Nathaniel Blackthorne waned. Whispers of mutiny grew louder, and desperation took hold. One stormy night, as the crew huddled below deck, Isabella Drake made a fateful decision. She knew that confronting Blackthorne was their only hope of survival. Gathering the few remaining healthy crew members, she laid out her plan. "We can't let this curse destroy us," Isabella said, her voice resolute. "We need to take the pearl from Blackthorne and find a way to break the curse." Mark nodded, his face etched with determination. "It's the only way. But how do we convince the others?" Isabella took a deep breath. "We'll have to show them the truth. Blackthorne's obsession has blinded him. We need to save him from himself." As the storm raged outside, the crew moved into action. They confronted Blackthorne in his cabin, where he sat clutching the Black Pearl, his eyes filled with a manic gleam. "Captain, this has to end," Isabella said firmly. "The curse is destroying us." Blackthorne's eyes narrowed. You would dare to defy me? The pearl is our salvation. Look around you, Isabella pleaded. The crew is suffering. This curse is real, and it's affecting all of us. The tension in the cabin was palpable. Blackthorn's grip on the pearl tightened, but the fear and desperation in his eyes were evident. You don't understand, he muttered, his voice shaking. The pearl is our only chance at immortality. Isabella stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. What's the point of immortality if we lose everything that makes life worth living? We need to break the curse. Isabella stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. What's the point of immortality if we lose everything that makes life worth living? We need to break the curse. A fierce battle ensued as the crew struggled to wrest the pearl from Blackthorn's grasp. The cabin was filled with the sounds of clashing swords and desperate cries. The ghostly apparitions that had haunted them appeared, adding to the chaos. In the heat of the battle, Blackthorn stumbled, the pearl slipping from his grasp. Isabella seized the opportunity and grabbed the gem, holding it aloft. The ghostly guardians appeared, their forms flickering in the dim light. You have one final chance to break the curse, they intoned. Relinquish the pearl and free yourselves. Blackthorn, now a shadow of his former self, looked at the pearl with a mixture of longing and regret. His obsession had cost him dearly, but he finally understood the price of immortality. With a heavy heart, he nodded to Isabella. Do it. Isabella, her hands trembling, spoke the incantation they had deciphered in the temple. The pearl glowed brightly, and the air was filled with an otherworldly energy. The ghostly guardians' forms solidified, their expressions filled with relief. Thank you, they whispered, their voices echoing as they faded away. The pearl shattered, its power dissipating into the air. The oppressive weight lifted from the ship, and the storm outside began to subside. The crew, though battered and bruised, breathed a collective sigh of relief. The curse was broken. As dawn broke over the horizon, the sea serpent, damaged but afloat, sailed toward home. The crew, though reduced in number, was united by their shared ordeal. Isabella stood at the helm, guiding the ship with a steady hand. Captain Blackthorn, humbled by his experience, approached her. You saved us, Isabella. I was blinded by my ambition. Isabella smiled, her eyes filled with empathy. We all make mistakes, Nathaniel. But we can learn from them and move forward. The sea serpent returned to port, greeted by the relieved townspeople who had feared the worst. The crew disembarked, carrying with them the lessons of their harrowing journey. Isabella, Mark, and the remaining crew members reflected on the cost of ambition and the true meaning of immortality. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, their bond unbreakable. And so, the legend of the Black Pearl became a tale of caution, reminding all who heard it of the price of obsession and the power of unity. Silverwood, once shrouded in fear, now looked to the future with hope and determination. The curse of the Black Pearl was broken, and the sea serpent sailed on, its crew forever changed by their journey. The story of their adventure lived on, a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the importance of compassion and forgiveness.